Well, to look at the n.e.b. environmental assessment of the Trans Mountain expansion and what it might mean, I'm joined now by Warren Mabee. He's the director of the Queen's Institute for Energy and Environmental Policy, and he joins us from Kingston, Ontario. Mr. Mabee, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Can I get your, well, first of all, just let's start with your reaction to this report from the National Energy Board today.
Sure. I think that this is the report that people expected. You know, there was a sense that the n.e.b. was going to come down in favor of the project. There has been a growing sense that, you know, the benefits to Canada are big. I think there's also a lot of pressure on the n.e.b. and a lot of pressure on the government to get one of these projects through. You know, there's been a lot of pushback against big energy projects in Canada. This pipeline has become kind of symbolic of that, and so moving it forward has become kind of in the best interests of everybody involved.
That's what I was going to ask you, because the n.e.b. is making this determination, but this is an environmental assessment. They say that there are significant risks of an oil spill, or if one occurs, or a pipeline break, but those risks are outweighed by the benefits or the potential benefits of the pipeline. Are we going to see the continuing challenge, though, to the legitimacy of the n.e.b. as the place to make environmental assessments? That, I guess, is the question.
It's a really good question, because I think that people will be very concerned about some of the language that's in their report. You know, they're very clear that there are adverse impacts associated with increased tanker traffic. And the way that they've sort of explained that or worked their way around it is that they're saying that the amount of traffic and the amount of activity that's happening already in those coastal waters is so great that adding some more tankers really isn't going to tilt the balance anymore in one way or the other. But certainly they've acknowledged that there are real environmental concerns, that there's going to be real impacts on vulnerable populations like the orca population, that there could be significant risks associated with a spill. But as you say, they've said that the benefits to Canadian society, the benefits to our country would outweigh those risks.
As you know, the Federal Court of Appeal last August ordered this new review. The review's been done. The conclusions have been reached. The government says it's now studying and it will try and put in place the mitigation measures. Where do we go from here? I mean, is there now, they also want a monitoring committee, an Indigenous monitoring and follow-up committee to be formed. Is there a way of checking that the federal government lives up to the recommendations and to the mitigation measures?
Yeah, I think that this is really at the heart of the issue, or the heart of how things might move forward. If we can come up with a good, transparent way to measure impacts, if we can improve the science around what's happening to those coastal areas and, you know, what's happening to those vulnerable populations in the sea, if we can use this actually as an excuse to collect better data, this could end up having benefits that go beyond just those economic benefits that we've talked about. We could learn a lot more about what's going on. We might be able to find better ways to manage these coastal areas, but it must be transparent. And so, you know, having an Indigenous advisory council or group, having communities involved, having third-party scientists involved in the discussion and in the monitoring, I think those are all essential, and it's not really spelled out in the report yet. It all has to do with how things are implemented.
I guess the question is, do you think it's inevitable that we will see further court challenges? Because the groups are saying they're still studying that as we go to air. Do you think it's inevitable that there will be further court challenges and further debate about whether this is a fair appraisal?
I think that there probably will be more challenges. It will be a question of, do they get the critical mass? You know, is it all of the communities? Is it the government of BC that pushes back in this case? Or are we starting to deal with some of the core concerns that many groups are worried about? You know, can they bring some of those groups on side? Because as the number of people willing to take it, you know, forward to a court challenge, take it into that long process, as that diminishes, the chances of the project going forward go up. And I think that's what we have to watch for over the next 24 hours. You know, how are people going to come out around this issue?
Okay, Mr. Mabee, I thank you very much for taking the time. We'll keep in contact on this issue. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.